done snorkeling. They stood pretty close to each other in the shallow water. She showed him the fingers on her left palm and said, "Look, they're yellow." They really were a bit yellow, especially at the top. So he asked if she had by any chance touched one of the corals with her bare palms. "Maybe," she said, looking a little worried. He already liked her more than he could tell, so without thinking too much, he pressed his palm against hers for a couple of seconds and said, "Now I too will be infected by the yellow fingers plague." All he wanted was to make her laugh. When she laughed, her nostrils flared beautifully. But 2 days later, when visiting his parents, he went to the bathroom to wash his hands. His mother insisted he wash before dinner as if he were still a boy, and realized the fingers of his left palm were yellow at the fingertips. He showed it to his mother after dinner. When it came to illness, he was still a boy. She looked at it for a while and then asked, "Have you been smoking?" Smoking was a touchy issue in his house because his dad died from lung cancer. So he rapidly answered, looking into her eyes, "No, of course not." "It's probably nothing," she said, but then, before he could say anything else, she pressed her palm against his and added, "Let's see if it's contagious." By the end of that week, the entire neighborhood was yellow-fingered. By the end of the month, the entire country. Later described by scientists as the first empathy-driven plague, the yellow fingers pandemic continued to run rampant, spreading worldwide through personal encounters. Somewhat bizarrely, instead of avoiding contact, people whose fingers weren't yellow when meeting their yellow-fingered dear ones felt a strong urge to press their palms against the others. As one Czech woman described it, it was like I was hearing a voice in my head telling me to do it. Or as one Slovakian man said, I felt that if I didn't press my fingers to those of my beloved Robert, he would always feel strange and alone. Some scientists hypothesized that a certain substance found in coral reefs could be responsible for generating empathy. Other scientists claim that this is pure bullshit. But in any case, by the end of the year, every man, woman, and child on Earth had yellow fingers. Except one.
Except one. Yellow fingers neck. Empathy.
His name was Gunnar, and he was a Norwegian crime novelist. Every winter, he would go to his cabin in the woods to write, coming back only when the snow thawed. He was usually welcomed warmly by the inhabitants of his small town. Most of them knew him since he was a child. But coming back this time, he felt they were all avoiding him, as if he were contagious. Had he been Brazilian or Israeli, he would have simply asked them what the fuck is their problem. But he wasn't, so he waited to Camilla's visit. His daughter was always able to bridge the abyss between him and the world. She came for the weekend. He picked her up at the train station. Only 2 seconds passed between the moment he saw her and the moment she saw that he had seen her. But within these 2 seconds, so many thoughts ran through his mind. How beautiful she is. How similar is she to her mother? How he had missed her. Wasn't she cold with just that cardigan? Love is a wonderful thing. Love is a painful thing. She waved to him the same way she waved when she was a child, then rushed to the car. First, they ate kumla, her favorite dish, which her mother used to make and he'd been preparing since her mother died, trying to fill that void. Then he asked her about her life. She told him she had just kicked her Italian boyfriend out of her apartment in Oslo because she realized he is toxic for her. He nodded in appreciation, but inside he was volcano happy. He didn't stand that Stefano from the first place. Only as they sat zipping their coffee, his black, hers brown, he told her about the strange reactions of the locals to him since he came back from his writing retreat. The long, pointed stares, the whispers. Is there something wrong with me? He asked. Seriously, tell me the truth. She scanned him from head to toe and said no. But then scanned him over again, noticing his fingers. Wait a minute, she said, taking his palm in hers. Then she added appalled, I can't believe it. They aren't yellow. Why would my fingers be yellow? He asked, not sure if she is kidding. Her mother had a tendency for that. And then she told him all about the plague. So let's make sure I understand. I'm the only one left? He asked when she was finished. Probably, but it's really easy to change, she responded, raising her palm in the air. Ignoring the small ripple of disapproval in his heart, he nodded his approval, then raised his palm and pressed it against hers. It takes 4 to 8 hours, she added. By breakfast, you will be just like everyone else. But he wasn't. Maybe it takes longer with stubborn people, she tried to joke, but then he said, look, Camila, your fingers. They weren't yellow anymore, not even one. The yellow color had completely disappeared. They sat down, silent and bewildered, drinking their morning coffee. His brown, hers black. The only people short yellow fingers. In a world that was about to change again.
About to change.